Hello, my name is Shelley Tatum Kieran and I am the kitchen hand. I love to cook and I was born with one hand, but that's never stopped me in the kitchen or anywhere else in my life for that matter. The kitchen is where I feel whole. It's where I come to feed my curiosity and my friends and family with good food. And I hope that hanging out in here with me will inspire you to do what brings you joy. So let's get started. Today we are making Alison Roman's spiced chickpea stew with coconut and turmeric. This recipe, when it came out, was just an internet sensation. It's so easy to make, so few ingredients, really economical, and it's also vegan. So let's get started. 4 cloves of garlic chopped. I have the perfect garlic musher. Just mushes those things, and the reason I do that, to mush it, is it makes it easier to peel most of the time. Every clove, or most cloves of garlic, there's a little stem in the center. This one's kind of light in color. It's just a little stem, and you want to try and peel that out because it makes the garlic bitter. So you can usually see it. Take the bottom off there. There's another one. That's a kind of a good one. You can really see it. Got the cleaver. Oops. I know my way around a cleaver. You don't want the cloves too big. You don't want the chunks too big because you're going to bite into that in the stew. 4 cloves of garlic into the pot. Now we go for the onion. You're going to cross-hatch the onion. That's how I do it. So I slice into it a little bit, and then I slice this way, and then you have chunks. Oh boy. Here come those tears again. Yeah, I'm dropping a couple on the floor, but guess who's going to have those? Bayo. Bayo eats onions. It's true. Okay. I couldn't take it another second. Prop department came up with this solution. Oh, I can chop onions all day. Okay, that's over. So now we're just going to load them up into the pan. And a little bit of ginger. It's a 2-inch piece of ginger, chopped finely. Get the skin off. A couple of scores down the length of the ginger. Cut off any parts that might look a little tough. Back with the cleaver. Chopped. Listen, they're not perfect. They're not like little tiny julienne pieces of ginger. They're just chunks of ginger cut by a mediocre cutter, but a good cook. Into the pot. Look at all that yummy ginger. This is a really flavorful, very bright, delicious stew. It calls for 2 cans of chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans. Same thing. I kind of think I'd make a good Ferris wheel operator. Let's go over to the stove and make some stew. Okay, so we have all these beautiful chopped onions and ginger and garlic. It smells amazing. You add 1/4 cup of olive oil. Turn the stove on, that'd be helpful. Make sure that all the onions and ginger and garlic is coated. I do a nice generous pinch and 10, if that's even 10, strokes of the peppermill, one-handed peppermill, which I use with 1.5 hand. This smells so good. Oh, I love this stew. Let those cook for about 5 minutes until the onions soften. What you're looking for is translucence in the onions. So those onions are looking a little translucent. The fun part, we add the turmeric and the red pepper flakes. That's going to bring out lots of color and heat. Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. It smells so good. It smells earthy and warm. I think that's why this stew broke the internet, because it's all of that. Drained and rinsed 2 cans of chickpeas. You add those, and then you mix them in with the onions and the garlic and the ginger, and you sizzle them a little bit. Goodness, for my apron. See that move? Pretty handy. This is called the apron tuck maneuver. What we want to do is turn up the heat a little and let them sizzle. Crackle and pop a little bit. They need a little brown, a little color. Listen to that sizzle. That's the sound you want to hear. Sizzle. So the chickpeas have sort of broken down, as you can see. We have some that are whole, and you reserve a cup of them for when you finish the stew. Just scoop out a cup. And then here we're going to break down these just a little more, because that'll thicken the stew a little. 2 cans of coconut. Oops. Need a little help. Kind of not very attractive, but it does taste good. 2 cups of chicken stock. This is vegetable stock. 2 cups of vegetable stock. Make sure, I think it's worth a little investment to get a nicer stock. And then you just stir that together until the coconut breaks down. This is just the coconut cream that rises to the top of the can. You can whisk it in the can if you like, but the heat does break it down. So it's been about 35 minutes. I really just kind of let it bubble away until it thickened to a consistency that I was happy with, and I like this because we're now going to add 1 bunch of either Swiss chard or kale, just a nice big bunch of fresh greens. With the chard, you remove the stems. That makes it easier. And you just break them into bite-sized pieces or cut them. You don't want them too big. And then you work them into the stew. It's so beautiful. This is just a nice, healthy, wonderful, very simple meal, which is why I think it broke the internet. Stir that in for a bit until that's mixed, and then let that break down, just cook for maybe about 5-10 minutes. We'll be back to try it. Alright, so the greens have kind of settled into the rest of the stew. I'm going to serve it. Alison suggests that you put a few chickpeas on top of each bowl, but since I'm only having 1, I'm going to put them right into the stew. Mix that around a little bit, thicken it up. We're ready to serve. I'm going to take a nice bowl full. Look at that gorgeous color with the greens. Doesn't that look beautiful? And then I'm going to top it. She suggests a little mint or parsley. I love mint with it. Highly recommend a little fresh mint if you can find it. My stomach's growling. It's so delicious. It's warm. It warms your throat a little bit. It's just wonderful. Thank you, Alison Roman, for your internet-breaking chickpea stew. And I'll see you here next time for another kitchen adventure.